I got something to prove. I gotta take what I hate and finally make a move. I think of you and all the shit you don't do.
Hey, this is Zach Pasquarello. Good, how are you? Yeah, absolutely. Did they give you like how much you're gonna pay per month? How many months? Sorry, I'm just doing some calculations real quick here. Yeah, so you are almost exactly correct. Yeah, that's that's what I got. So, 3 years and 4 months, 3.3 years, $58,000. You're gonna be paying back, $1,900 a month. That's 16% interest. That's crazy high. It depends. What type of equipment are you trying to finance? Is it a CDL truck or a box truck? Do you have your CDL? Okay, so do you already have like an LLC and a business setup? Who do you bank with? Did you talk to them about getting a loan? Yeah, 16% is way too high. So these special equipment financing companies, like, you're not going to get a very good deal with them. Those are that should be like a last resort for you. What percent down do you have to pay? So what, like the truck is originally what, like $95,000? Yeah, so you're basically putting 30% down, which is high, and then you're paying 16% interest, which is really high. I started my business back in 2021. And I got a box truck in the beginning, and it was only $30,000, my box truck, but I went to the bank that I opened up my business checking account with, and I was able to get a loan, 5% interest, 20% down, which is that's like a standard loan, right? Like 20% down payment and then 5% interest. If I were you, I would take that 16% interest rate as an absolute last resort. So you have a couple options. Like, you could first of all just go to the bank that you're banking with, see if you can't connect with their loan department, and just explain to the loan officer your situation. So from my experience, getting a loan is a lot like a sales negotiation. Like, it's not just strictly numbers. The loan officer basically has to vouch for you and like go to their credit department and kind of explain your situation to the credit department so that they can underwrite your loan. So your job is just to build that relationship with the loan officer and explain your situation and basically sell your business to the loan officer so he can vouch for you so you can get the loan. So I know that your business is new, but if you have a CDL, just tell him or her, the loan officer, that you're looking to get a CDL truck. You're going to be the one driving it, which means there's not a whole lot of risk because you're not trying to hire employees. Like, it's all about you. And just explain the situation. And as long as you have a decent credit score and somewhat decent tax returns, then you should be okay. So as long as your credit score is above 700 and, for the past 2 or 3 years, you've made, more than $60,000 or $70,000 a year, you should be okay. You're gonna be great with those numbers. You're gonna be great. Like I said, more than 700 credit score, more than $70,000 annual income. Just let them know. He's probably gonna ask for your past 2 or 3 years tax returns. And so first of all, just go to the bank and try to get that loan. But before you even do that, you have another option. You can go to a different bank, like go to a different credit union, like a local credit union, and do the same thing with them, like try to get a loan with them and see if they see whatever they give you. And that way you can kind of use that as a point of negotiation for whenever you go to the bank that you actually want to get the deal from. So maybe you'll get like 10% interest from ABC Credit Union down the road. And then you can go to your bank and say, hey, I already have a checking account with you guys. Already been banking with you for a couple months. I got a 10% interest loan from ABC Credit Union down the street. I really want to stay with you guys, so I'm hoping you could at least match that or do a little bit better than 10% interest. So that way you're going to the table with an offer already in your pocket. That way you can negotiate with them. Now there's a final option before you even touch that 16% interest, because that's ridiculous. Your final option, if you can't get like a straight up loan from your bank, because $90,000 is a lot to finance. So I guess with 20% down, $70,000 is a pretty big loan, and you might not get that. Well, your other option is to piecemeal smaller loans together. So this is kind of an unconventional way to go about it to get a loan, but you can go to a local credit union or you can go to like a big national bank and you can get like $20,000 loans and you can kind of piece them together. They're probably going to be 7, 8, 9% interest, but if you get 3 or 4 of these loans for $20,000 and you kind of like piecemeal them together, they'd be like almost just like cash loans or lines of credit. You can at least get half the interest rate of 16%. And just piecemeal these 3 or 4 $20,000 loans together. That way you could get the amount of money you need if you can't get it traditionally all in one lump sum from your bank. 16%, yeah, that should be a crime to offer loans at 16%. That's ridiculous. There's so many other ways. I mean, even 10% is like too high for a loan. Like you should be able to get a loan for 8%. Another option is to leverage your personal assets. So if you have like a brokerage account or a 401k or an IRA or a house, it's always super risky to leverage your personal assets. If you're looking to, you can get a home equity line of credit, or there are some banks that'll basically use your brokerage account, your stocks, your investments as collateral and basically give you a loan off of that. So there are ways around it. You can leverage your personal assets, but I would try to just get the loan straight up from the bank first before you start going into your personal assets. I know Charles Schwab. I forget what it's called. But yeah, you can basically borrow money against your investments at Charles Schwab. Yeah, so bookkeeping, I charge about $200 a month for bookkeeping. It all depends on the size and complexity of your business, but the average client is like between $200 and $300 a month. But if you're just an owner operator, like your business is relatively simple, you really could just do your bookkeeping on your own. And I have a course for $60. I have over an hour and a half worth of content, just kind of like walking you through how to do your QuickBooks. So if I were you, I don't think you would need like my full service bookkeeping, but maybe you can get my course, or maybe we could just schedule like a 1 hour call and we could do a Zoom screen share and I can kind of walk you through QuickBooks and what you need to know. Yeah, as soon as we're done with this call, I'll send you the link for the bookkeeping course. So I just looked it up at Charles Schwab. It's called Pledged Asset Line. And you can basically get a line of credit by pledging your personal assets as collateral. But I think you need to have a minimum of $100,000 of assets. You're not going to give yourself a 1099. No, just because if you have a single member LLC and you're the owner operator, you're not going to get a 1099 from your business. The only time a 1099 is required is like if you're paying somebody else. If you're paying a different person, like your dispatcher or your driver, or if you're paying like Joe Smith down the road to do mechanical work on your truck and you pay him like $1,000, you give him a 1099. But you, as the business owner, you don't get a 1099. Yeah, I feel like sometimes people overcomplicate it. It's super simple. As the business owner, so you have a personal checking account, obviously, and then you have a business checking account. And it is really important to keep those two things separate. So you never want to use your business checking account to, go to the movies with your friends or go out to eat with your family. Like you never want to mix those funds. So you just move money from your business checking account to your personal checking account. You can write yourself a check. You can set up ACH, direct deposit, straight from your business checking account to your personal checking account. But that's it. That's the only thing you need to do to transfer money from your business account to your personal account. And then at the end of the year, you recognize that revenue by filing your Schedule C. So this is kind of getting into the weeds of taxes and things like that, but you're just going to file an individual income tax return, and you're going to attach to that your Schedule C, which is nothing more than your profit and loss statement. So it's going to show all of your revenue. You're going to subtract all of your expenses. So you made $100,000 revenue last year. You spent $50,000 on expenses like fuel and maintenance and insurance, and then at the end of the year you had $50,000 of income. So you will be required to pay taxes on those $50,000 of income. Yeah, and if you have your account number and your routing number from your personal checking account, you just enter that information into your bill pay or your treasury management or whatever system you have in your business checking account, and you should be able to, with the click of a button, just transfer, $1,000, $10,000, however much money you want to transfer from your business to your personal account. And then you should also be able to set up recurring automatic payments. So like if you want to pay yourself, $1,000 a week every Friday to kind of like set yourself up on like payroll almost, just so you have that weekly recurring money, or once a month if you want to transfer $10,000, once a month. You should be able to set that up pretty simply with your business checking account. So you still need to pay your taxes throughout the year. Just because you're a business owner, and you don't have an employee taking out your taxes for you, you still need to pay what's called quarterly taxes. And the best way to do it is figure out how much money in taxes you owed last year. So let's say, for example, last year you made $100,000 at working at Walmart, whatever. And you paid $20,000 in taxes last year. So if you're going to make somewhat close to $100,000 this year, which as an owner operator you probably are going to make close to $100,000, it's always a safe bet. Just this being your first year in business, just pay whatever you owed last year in taxes. So if you owed last year, if you paid $20,000 in federal income taxes, then this year, every quarter, so every 3 months, you're going to pay essentially $5,000 in federal income taxes. And you can go straight to the IRS website and you can set up quarterly tax payments, and you can just file it and submit it straight to the IRS website. Yeah, that's the easiest way to do it. And then if you want to get more of an exact amount that you should pay for federal income taxes, you can send your 2021 tax return to a CPA, and he or she will probably be able to tell you exactly how much you should be paying. But then every year after that, based on how much money you made in 2022, that's how you're going to calculate your quarterly estimated tax payments for the following year. And whoever files your taxes for you, whether it's a CPA or H&R Block or TurboTax, wherever you go, just always ask, that person or that company to set you up with estimated quarterly tax payments for the next year. I mean, one really cool thing is to get credit cards, to get business credit cards, because in the trucking business, we spend a lot of money. And if you can get that, 2% cash back, or if you can stock up those travel rewards, that's pretty cool, because we're going to be spending a lot of money in this business. You can definitely take advantage of the credit card rewards. And then also on top of that, a lot of credit cards offer 0% interest for the first 12 months. Like, for example, I know Capital One, American Express, and Chase. I have a credit card with all of them, and I was able to get like $8,000 credit limit, 0% interest for the first 12 months. So that's essentially like an $8,000 loan for 12 months, and you don't have to pay anything for it. So definitely look into business credit cards, take advantage of that, and just try to capitalize on the cash back or the travel rewards. Yeah, almost all the credit cards that I've applied for, I've had to personally guarantee. I got my credit cards like right away, like as soon as I started my business in the beginning of 2021. And then, do you already have a fuel card, Petro? So the cool thing that I've noticed about fuel cards, it can be convenient in the beginning to like get a bunch of different fuel cards. That way you don't limit yourself when you're over the road. Like, you can kind of shop around. Like, that way you're not going to Love's every single time. You can go to Exxon, you can go to BP, you can go to Shell. But the one thing I've seen that's pretty cool is like basically the more gallons you pump, kind of the better deals you can get, like the bigger of a customer you are. So it might benefit you to just like only have 1 or 2 cards. Because if you go to Love's and say, hey, I'm pumping 1,000 gallons a month, like instead of 15 cents off per gallon, how about you give me 20 cents off per gallon? You might be able to negotiate a little bit better of a discount if you like pump 1,000 or 2,000 gallons a month from the same gas station. Where are you going to find your loads? So the one thing I will say is being an owner operator, and I don't really have a whole lot of experience with this, but I was trying to do what you're doing. Like, I was trying to connect with FedEx and like the big brokers and like kind of be like a dedicated owner operator with them. Just be careful, because a lot of the rate per mile that they offer you is not very good. So just kind of like look at the, you run it for a couple months, see how you like it, but make sure you're looking at the numbers. Calculate how many miles you're driving per week, and then calculate how much they're paying you. And just like keep in mind the spot market, because the spot market pays really, really well. It can be more stressful, it's less consistent, and you might need to pay a dispatcher to help you out, or you can dispatch yourself. So you're gonna have to spend a little bit of time finding loads. But from my experience, a lot of that dedicated contracted stuff, like with the big brokers like FedEx and Landstar, like that'll pay like $2.40 a mile. And I think you might have said you have a reefer truck, so it's gonna pay you a little bit more. But just for example purposes, that dedicated stuff is paying like $2.40 a mile. And whenever I'm looking at the spot market, I'm able to get like easily $3 a mile. So there's a pretty large difference in the spot market and that dedicated contracted stuff. So just keep that in mind while you're running. Definitely look at the numbers, try to figure out how much FedEx is actually paying you per mile, and just check the spot market, check the DAT load board, check with other brokers, and just see what kind of loads are out there, because chances are you can put in a little bit of extra time and find a lot better loads in the spot market versus that dedicated contracted stuff. Just something to think about.